Tua Tagovailoa for Quinn Ewers today. New on NFL Live, here's Mike McDaniel.
The decision is complicated but simple. The simple piece is I think Quinn gives this team the best chance to win. Zach will be backing him up, and Tua will be the emergency third. Starting with Tua, it wasn't easy, for him to hear. I think it was, a tough conversation, but also I think he exhibited what makes him a captain and a leader on this team, and how he's going to help, Quinn prepare for his first start.
Adam Schefter with us all hour long. Take us through, Adam, how we got here with Tua and what's next for him and the Dolphins.
Well, Laura, we have a situation where right now Tua Tagovailoa leads the NFL in interceptions, and the offense has struggled at times. Clearly, you were there in Pittsburgh on Monday night to watch it. The Dolphins have seen the same. They've pondered some of these changes and wondered when it might be the right time. Mike McDaniel thought about it this week, slept on it last night, and decided this morning that it was time to move on from Tua Tagovailoa, which is a seismic decision within this organization, considering that he has $99 million due to him, essentially, in salary cap money here. So if the Dolphins were to move on from Tua, there would be a $99 million cap charge. There are the figures in what is now the most important numbers game that the Dolphins can play. They owe him automatically $54 million guaranteed next year. There's an additional $3 million guaranteed that becomes guaranteed on March 15th this year. If they cut him, it would be $99 million in dead money. They could spread it out over 2 years and make it $67.4 million in 26 and $31.8 the next year. That would seem to be right now the most logical course of action. We've seen teams absorb big salary cap hits before. The Jets did it with Aaron Rodgers, $49 million. The Denver Broncos did it with Russell Wilson for $85 million. $32 million, which is still counting against their salary cap this season when they currently have an 11-game win streak and are the AFC's number one seed. Of course, they did hit on Bo Nix in the first round. They have a great defense that helped bail them out. And the Dolphins are going to be facing difficult decisions and obstacles as they look to dig out from under the Tua Tagovailoa contract here in the future. But when you bench a player like this, the chances are his future there is bleak, if not over. Tua recognizes that. Everybody's at a crossroads, and we'll see now where this goes with Quinn Ewers as the new Dolphins starting quarterback, Zach Wilson as his backup, and Tua Tagovailoa serving now as the Dolphins' emergency number 3 quarterback.
Maybe they strike gold with Quinn Ewers. We'll see. As we welcome you to the show, Dan Hawk Field is here. Field, was this the right decision for the Dolphins right now?
Yeah, so clearly time. 15 interceptions for Tua, Shefty mentioned, most in the NFL. For whatever it's worth, Tua threw all 15 of those picks when facing zone coverage. He's not seeing the field well right now, and when he gets under duress, he has limited to no escapability, and that has led to other bad decisions, like the one you're going to see right there, just a bad sack on Monday night. But the reality for Miami, as Shefty mentioned, they're probably going to have to move on from Tua this offseason. If there is one sort of silver lining that they could potentially approach, it's this. If Tua is still healthy and upright by the start of the league year, and if you keep playing him, you risk the fact of him not being healthy, maybe they can convince a team to pay down a portion of Tua's remaining base salary. Maybe the Dolphins even compensate that team by giving them a draft pick. Think all the way back to when Brock Osweiler was traded from the Texans to the Cleveland Browns. And Houston actually sent Cleveland a second-round pick as part of that deal. For now, you get a three-game runway with Quinn Ewers to see if you have anything there. But the reality for Miami going forward is they probably will have to be like Denver and strike it on a young quarterback somewhere in the draft to get this franchise anywhere close to contention, because this 4-game winning streak they just recently had, solid. But this division they play in has 2 teams that probably aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
Yep. It's got to be about more than just the performance on the field. The last 3 years, Tua's 73 touchdowns, 28 picks. He's got 22, 23, and 24. All 3 of those years are a passer rating over 100. He was an MVP caliber player in 2023. We've seen
the same player this year?
No, but we've seen starting quarterbacks struggle. We have. And so for them to make this move, and it's a clear, like, hey, it's not only for this year, but it's very unlikely that you're our guy moving forward. It can't just be about he's having a bad season. There has to be things behind the scene that they know internally that we don't know publicly that are factoring to this, because we've seen starting quarterbacks struggle before. I would say this, not only for the Dolphins, but teams moving forward. Number one, who is Tua now after the injuries and after the headshots? That's not me trying to be hypersensitive.
It's matter of fact.
You're going to have to ask yourself, because no, he's not the same player he was. I remember on our show 2 months ago saying he's just not triggering. He just won't throw the ball right now.
Yeah.
So if you're a team, it's like, well, who are we getting? Are we getting the guy that was an MVP in 2023? And then the second thing is, if we took Tua out of this very unique and finite system for him, what else can he play in scheme-wise? And I think that's going to be another question the Dolphins and another team will have to ask themselves.
This is the question I had about Tua when he made those press conference remarks about the culture of the team, right? Because this is now 2 cultures in a row that it seemed like he was criticizing or weren't right for him. And when you look at a quarterback, if I'm the Miami Dolphins, you bring Mike McDaniel in because Mike McDaniel says, you know what, I can get the best out of Tua. Have we seen the best out of Tua over that tenure? Absolutely we have.
Right.
The next question is that the best? Is he still developing in a way where we feel like his best play is in front of him? That's the hardest question you have to ask yourself.
I think
most people feel like no.
Can you get back to that best?
Yeah, and is that best enough as well, Dan? Because it's like, are you a problem solver on the field or are you a scheme beneficiary? Yeah. Because to your point, this scheme is tailor-made for his skill set. But the difference between them advancing past the wild card round in those best years is his ability to problem solve beyond that scheme, beyond that first or second read, and also probably in under 40-degree weather, because you got to go through Pittsburgh, you got to go through Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, New England. The list goes on. And if I've seen this and I haven't seen what gets us to that next level, then it's an easy decision.
You know, it's worth pointing out, too, that Mike McDaniel has been very loyal to Tua even when he's struggled before. And when we were preparing for this Monday night game, we interviewed Mike McDaniel. We asked him specifically if he thought any of the head injuries had affected Tua, and his answer was, that would be really bad if I thought that, and no, I don't think that. Now, I'm not sure what we expect him to say there other than that he doesn't think that's affected things, but we did ask the question. I wanted to bring this to you guys from our Dolphins reporter, Marcel Louis-Jacques. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa spoke to the media just moments ago, saying that he's naturally disappointed and not happy with this demotion, but gave a transparent assessment as to why it happened. Quote, I would say the biggest thing, and it's being honest with myself as well, has been my performance. I haven't been performing up to the level and the capabilities that I have in the past. He says it well, right? You know?
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for him owning it. You know, he knows that.
Yeah.
I think that's the big question is, he mentions it, the past. Can he get back to something that looks like the past? Because the past 3 years have been pretty darn good football. This year it fell off.
Yeah, we'll see what Quinn Ewers can do. I think Quinn Ewers might actually be really good in this offense. They don't ask a whole lot out of the quarterback either. All right, let's pivot to tomorrow night's game. This game coming here in just about 24 hours. Pivotal matchup between the Rams and Seahawks that will help shape the NFC playoff picture moving forward. The Rams currently have a 63% chance to win the NFC West. According to ESPN Analytics, that would jump to a 93% chance with a win, but falls to 29% with a loss. Just shows you how impactful this game is. Look at that graph, okay? DraftKings Sportsbook currently has Seattle favored by 1.5 points at home. Adam, let's start here. The Rams hoping to have Davante Adams for this one. What can you tell us about his status?
Well, Laura, here's the good part. The hamstring injury was not as bad as the Rams initially feared when he went down on Sunday against the Detroit Lions. The bad part is he still hasn't practiced this week, and it seems like right now it would be a long shot to have him play on Thursday night against the Seattle Seahawks. Sean McVay was not ready and has not been ready to rule him out just yet. We'll see how they list him on the injury report later today. I would guess that he may be questionable to doubtful. We'll see how the Rams decide to list him. Still think it's a long shot, but again, they're not ready to give up on him in a game of this magnitude just yet.
Yeah, I think the magnitude of the game factors in a lot here with the decision, but they also need to keep him healthy for the stretch run. How important is Davante for this Rams offense against Seattle specifically?
Very, very important, specifically in the red zone. Matt Stafford leads the league in touchdown passes. Davante Adams leads the league in receiving touchdown catches. 9 of those in the 5-yard plus range, because what happens is defenses commit to the box, 10. Then it becomes one-on-one with Davante, and he's so good off the line that it's essentially Davante left, Davante right, and it makes it a very clear picture, easy decision-making, and a large space for Matt Stafford to place that ball. If they don't have him, they're going to have to rely on their scheme, which is just a little harder, not impossible, but Devontae Adams is obviously a big benefactor into what they've done so far.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one for sure as soon as we know more information in the lead up. We're just getting started here on NFL Live. A lot to get to today. News flying around everywhere. We're jam-packed. It's the Packers versus Bears this weekend in a battle for the NFC North with major injuries being a factor. Field says it's all about the next man up, but he'll explain a little bit more. And it's Whiteout Wednesday. Hawks Fields, which Whiteout has earned their spot in the Louvre?
Who is it?
You guys prepare for a surprise.
I'm gonna guess.
And respect where you wouldn't expect it next. Who do you think?
Welcome back to NFL Live. It is your favorite segment on your Wednesday. It's called Whiteout Wednesday. That's right, your favorite receivers, favorite museum. We got one player, 3 plays, a lot of acronyms, IRL, because this is for the best receivers in real life. One to improve, one to remove, and one that is such a work of art. We hang it in the Louvre. This week's admission to the wide receiver museum everybody loves comes from the Bay, Ricky Pearsall. He's a guy that everyone sees so much potential in. It's not the one who scored 2 touchdowns last week. It's the guy who, when he's out there, he's such a technician, we can't help but showcase it. All right, so what you're going to see here first is our improvement play. You see he missed here with Purdy. This is going to be a deep over route. The things we're going to improve on this deep over route is we're going to take a better stem angle to put ourselves in the middle of the field, and then we're going to run the green grass to take our yak angle. He comes too flat. Purdy's expecting him to get into the open space of the field so he can catch and run, and there's a miscommunication. That's okay. We can correct that. Next, we're going to go remove it. Look, Brandon Ayuk's future is in question in San Fran, so as a number 1 receiver, which is what he assumed last week, he's going to have to be on top of his game. We can't have false starts. That's the piece of his game when you get in the receiver room. It's like, hey, we're losing drives, we're losing plays, we're losing opportunities. We got to get it out of our game. And lastly, there's so much Louvre opportunities. There's going to be a lot of plays here because what Ricky Pearsall does better than most receivers is speed in and out of breaks. I want you to watch all of these routes and how when he gets to the top of his route, he loses no speed from the amount of speed he was gaining into it. Watch this comeback. He gets to full speed break. Look at the separation he creates from this defensive back. That's special, that's rare in the NFL, and he's such a technician, and he has such athletic ability. That's why he was so effective. Here you're going to see a deep dig. Great on the release. As he gets to the top, he loses almost no speed, and he gains more separation on the second part of the route, which is rare. And lastly, this is the route that we're going to hang in the Louvre. This is going to be a stomp out or stomp comeback. You're going to motion to stomp alignment in between the hash and the numbers. You're going to attack inside leverage on the DB because that's what he's protecting. And then you're going to give full-on demeanor towards the go ball to get that DB's hips turned. And again, watch the speed out of his break and the separation he creates. Those are clear pictures, easy throws for any quarterback, let alone Brock Purdy, who keeps him on top of his game in San Fran. So now we're going to go hang my boy in the Louvre. I have a feeling Dano's going to be very excited about
maybe
this
my
new
favorite
addition.
receiver in the NFL.
Wow.
Favorite receiver in the NFL?
Maybe.
Rick,
Look,
come on now.
again, Brandon Ayuk's future is in question. Hold on.
It's coming, I
It's
think.
gonna change. We're gonna
There it
let
is.
it go.
We're putting in the code. Hold on, I got to put the code in.
Yeah.
Here we go. Welcome, Ricky.
Yeah,
Is he the future in San Fran, Dan?
absolutely.
We feel good about that?
I feel great about it. You just showed me he's winning. I mean,
winning.
there's constant separation. Also, I think that was my favorite one because all the multiple examples on Louvre.
You
I like that.
You like
More
that?
than just having one, I like you showing me
All right.
3 or 4 different looks.
Oh, wait, you
think-
ant me when I said his teammate, Jawan Jennings. Like, I was close.
You were closer than
He
that.
didn't
gotten
want
like
you,
a
he didn't want
10.
you to get
on.
that close.
I said Jawan Jennings.
Yeah,
Teammate.
he did. By the way, the Niners hoping to have Pearsall, who's dealing with knee and ankle injuries, for our Monday Night Football matchup. 49ers squaring off against Phillip Rivers and the Colts. 8 Eastern on ABC, ESPN, ESPN Deportes, Disney Plus, and the ESPN app. Coverage kicks off with us, NFL Live at 3 Eastern. My voice is not going to work today. Followed by Scott Van Pelt, the Monday Night Countdown crew at 6. We can't wait for that. All right, let's read and react on some of the biggest matchups this week. The Bucs trying to bounce back after a loss to the Saints. Here's Baker Mayfield on which unit was to blame.
It comes down to the offense. You're up 2 scores, you have a chance to put the game away, and you don't. And the easy thing to do is point at the defense because of the situation. It's the last thing you see in the game. But if you look at the whole game, you look at the way it played, blame me. Don't blame Todd.
Yeah, they got the message. It's football, guys. I don't know. There have probably been a billion stories written when coaches have lost. They got pissed off and said something to their guys. It's not an issue. We're fine.
Okay, Bowles was referencing his ripping into the team immediately after the loss last week. Remember, he also went on that other rant. It was incredible. They would be wise to turn things around quick, though. With a win, the Bucs would have a 93% chance to win the NFC South, according to ESPN Analytics. Losing to the Panthers on Sunday would pull their chances down just about 50-50. Keep in mind that both of these teams can only make the playoffs by winning the division. Dan, how does this Panthers defense match up with the Bucs offense?
Yeah, they've struggled when they've decided to blitz recently. I think two things in this game are huge from a Tampa perspective. One, Baker's legs. Two, Carolina's droppers, meaning the people that are going from the line of scrimmage back into coverage when they blitz, have really struggled recently, getting lost, losing vision, and so often it's really kind of in between that hash area. We're going to get a cross dog by the inside linebackers, backside defensive end drops. He gets completely lost, getting sold on what would be a crosser and or slant route. There's a replace in a complete vacancy. If you're Tampa, invite the pressure. I dare you. I challenge you to pressure me. That nickel is going to fire in the yellow. The white is going to be that dropping backer. But completely vacated is that backside kind of hook, soft spot area right at that hash. Too consistently, those droppers, when they pressured, just lost landmark. If I'm Baker Mayfield, my legs, like I said, but also when I see blitz, I'm thinking kind of in between those numbers, hash area, and trying to gut them into the intermediate pass game.
Another really important game on Sunday, the Packers facing the Bears. A lot of injuries to watch in this one, which is on Saturday, so a shorter week. And let's get Adam back in here. Adam, what's the latest on Christian Watson?
Well, how about this, Laura? They take him to the hospital after he suffers a chest injury on Sunday against the Broncos. They discharge him from the hospital in time to fly home with the team. And after being in the hospital on Sunday night, he was back at practice today, albeit in a limited fashion. And he thinks he should be good to go Saturday night against the Bears. Here's the rest of the did not practice list. A lot of notable names in question for Saturday night. Josh Jacobs, Evan Williams, Zach Tom, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden. No practice today for any of them, but it certainly sounds like in a short week that the teams are saving some of these players and then hoping to get some of them back for a big showdown Saturday night in Chicago.
Yeah, it makes sense. The ESPN Analytics looks at this game as the one that has the most leverage for any division race this week. The winner would have their chance to win the NFC North climb up over 75%, while the losers' odds drop below 15%, and they'd fall to the NFC 7 seed entering the next week. That's just how impactful it is. Field, what are you expecting from the Packers defense without Micah Parsons?
If your name isn't Micah Parsons, you get paid to rush the passer, you better be better at your job this weekend, Laura. Look over the past 6 games. Micah Parsons has been unbelievable, worth every dollar he has made from Green Bay this year. Over the last 6 games, though, Micah Parsons by himself has one fewer pressure than every other Packers defensive player. He has one more sack than the rest of the team. He has 12 quarterback hits, or had. The rest of the team had 19. It has been just the Micah Parsons one-man wrecking crew over these past 6 games. The entire defense is getting after quarterbacks to begin the season. So Jeff Hafley, understanding he does not have Micah Parsons, that Packers defensive coordinator, this might be a week where you got to try to find a way to confuse Caleb Williams by bringing pressure. But good luck with that great offensive line in Chicago and some of those good run-after-catch playmakers, too.
Yeah, Parsons was such a defensive force for the Packers. He was double-teamed on 38% of his pass rushes this season, the highest among edge rushers. All right, this is what's coming your way next, okay? Dan takes us inside the helmet of Matthew Stafford to show why teams are struggling to keep up with this.
Welcome back to NFL Live. You know, the number 13 is a very special number. It's the amount of groomsmen I had at my wedding, which I know is a little bit crowded. It's also the definitive age I can say I ran at faster speeds that Dan Orlovsky ever even peaked at, which I get it. It might not be saying much. Lastly, I want to say it's the Los Angeles Rams' favorite personnel grouping. And the personnel grouping, they run at a higher rate than anybody else in the league. Dan is going to show you one of their many touchdowns out of that personnel grouping with the help of NGS NFL Stats and the Status Pro Visualizer, which allows the recreation of the play exactly as it happened in the game. Dan, go to work.
Yeah, Hawk, you're right. 13 personnel. That 1 back, 3 tight end is exactly who the Rams want to be. So starting point is what actually is 13 personnel. Number 1, it's going to be 1 running back, and then they are going to line in 1, 2, 3 tight ends. Now, what the Rams like to do is they like to take those 3 tight ends and kind of put them in traditional what we call inline spaces, almost like an extension of those offensive line, and they want to run the football. But what they've done recently is try to spread them out. Now, why would the Rams put those 3 tight ends onto the field, but then in a spread out formation? Let's go become Matthew Stafford, okay? If you're Matthew Stafford and you break the huddle and you're in 13 personnel and you realize, why are we here with a 2-by-2 formation, meaning 2 to the right and 2 to the left? I'm in the shotgun. I'm trying to gather information. So what's that information? I want to know how many defensive backs you have on the field. So let's start here. Defensive back 1 to the left, Rock Ya-Sin. Okay, there's a safety in the middle field. That's 2. Meek Robertson, the nickel, is 3. And then this is Daniel Thomas. So that's 4 defensive backs on the field. That means that the defense has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive linemen. Because I lined up in those 3 tight ends, they've committed to thinking I want to run the football like I have in the past, and they want to stop that. So we spread them out. Now we want to throw the football. So what's the advantageous part of that for the Rams? Number 1, I'm trying to find a matchup. What's going to be my favorite matchup? But we always have to start with protection. Understanding 5 defensive linemen. I'm Stafford. I got, my center, my left guard, and my left tackle. I need you guys to protect number 1, number 2, and number 3. Great. We're good to the left when it comes to pressure. Right guard, right tackle. I need you guys to have number 1 and number 2 front side. Now I'm good with protection. The only problem that I could have with pressure is this linebacker. If this linebacker blitzes, because he should have that back in man. If this guy blitzes, great. I'm going to throw the ball to Kyron Williams in the flat. We're going to be in a good situation. Now, if you're Stafford, I talked about protection. We're good with that. Now I'm searching a matchup. What's going to be the best matchup for me as I get to the line of scrimmage? I want to start Puka Nacua, right? He's one of the best receivers in football. But Robertson, that's a good nickel. And so I like that matchup. I don't necessarily love that matchup. Also, this safety in the middle of the field, he could always come down and almost double team Puka. Well, then I'm going to look out to my left. I like this tight end, but that's Rock Ya-Sin. That's a corner. So I don't love that matchup. That's an advantage for the defense. I got a good tight end here, but this is Jack Campbell. And if my tight end here is only running a 5-yard out route, is that the best matchup for me on this play? No. Okay, what's going to be the best matchup? I don't like Puka Nacua, but I got Kobe Parkinson out here, and that's Daniel Thomas. That's a young safety. So if you're Kobe Parkinson, could I give you a go route down in the red zone, and could you beat him at the line of scrimmage? That's exactly what Matthew Stafford is looking for. He's looking for the best matchup, not just the good one. It's clearly the go route on the young safety. Now, if you're Stafford, what you have to pay attention to is this safety. This safety is really your only problem when it comes to that throw. I would fully expect that safety to lean to this side of the formation because I have Puka Nacua here. The only way that I'm not throwing that ball to Parkinson is this safety at the snap goes fully over the top. He can't nor shouldn't do that. So if you're Stafford, the big thing is have vision on that safety. Ball gets snapped. He hangs. That means I love this throw. Now, what kind of throw? We've talked about that this year. Once this defender stays on that back hip, that ball I fully expect to get put up in the air with air behind it to lead Parkinson. If he's over the top, I've talked about that's the back shoulder opportunity. He's back hip. Stafford has to see that defender Thomas playing back hip and put that ball with air over the top. Now, here's the last part of why this matters, okay? And playing on time's a big deal. You're going to see this defensive lineman. These guys are all 5 one-on-one blocks, okay? That defensive lineman is going to inside stunt. We're going to get a wrap stunt by this defensive tackle. And I don't want you to pay attention to the route. Just feel this pressure if you're Matthew Stafford right now and that internal twist game. That ball's got to be out right now because these two guys are splitting my offensive lineman. I'm taxed as a group offensive line-wise, and Parkinson's just winning. That's the big challenge for the quarterback here is with time. Let's be Matthew Stafford. See how fast you have to play. I know I'm throwing that ball out there. Just feel how fast you have to play when it comes to understanding the recognition. Balls to come out right now, and I have to make the proper throw over the top for a touchdown. This is a weapon for this offense. They love to run it out of that grouping, but the more that they can create those matchups in the pass game for those guys, protect enough, and Stafford could get it out, he's going to throw the perfect pass.
The Los Angeles Rams have scored 24 touchdowns out of 13 personnel. No other NFL team has more than 8. Matt Stafford, 37 touchdown passes this season, 5 interceptions. Dan, can you guess how many interceptions you threw in your career?
13.
Oh, my voice dialed in, man.
I love it. Just fascinating stuff. Sorry, Dan, you had to catch a little stray there. All right, new on NFL Live. Here's Joe Burrow today.
Is there any world in your mind where you're not the quarterback of the Bengals next year?
I can't see that, no.
Have you ever thought about the possibility of not being the quarterback here during your career, or?
You think about a lot of things.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Adam, first of all, credit to Joe Burrow for answering these questions, but what do you make of hearing that from Joe Burrow, Adam?
We love the honesty. We appreciate the honesty. And last week we heard Joe Burrow talking about his fun or the lack of fun he was having in the game. And a lot of people wondered whether it was Andrew Luckish. This certainly sounds more Carson Palmer-ish than it does Andrew Luckish if we're looking to draw analogies between quarterbacks. And there continues to be conversation surrounding Joe Burrow's time in Cincinnati. He himself said he thinks and expects to be there next year, but all options now seem to be on the table. As for Lamar Jackson, he was kept home from practice again today in the latest Wednesday practice miss. John Harbaugh, the Ravens coach, said it was a flu deal that kept him home today. So with Lamar battling an illness, he was not there at practice today. And if the recent weeks follow, he'll be back sometime this week, and he will be available to play on Sunday. And the big story of the day came out of Miami, where the Miami Dolphins made a seismic move in benching Tua Tagovailoa, despite the contract ramifications, naming rookie quarterback Quinn Ewers their new starter and saying that Zach Wilson now will serve as the number 2 quarterback, with Tua being the emergency third quarterback. This raises a whole host of questions surrounding Tua's future. He becomes the latest quarterback now to be facing an offseason in which his future is yet to be determined, joining quarterbacks like Kyler Murray, but there'll be plenty of storylines ahead with both Tua, with Kyler Murray, with all these quarterbacks in question, but it certainly seems like his time in Miami is coming to an end.
Yeah, interesting. It was fascinating what you illustrated off the top of the show about how they can break up some of that money that's owed to Tua. Here, new on NFL Live, Mike Vrabel talking about facing Lamar Jackson.
This is about, Lamar and the Ravens and what he can do and his ability to stay patient and calm and then deliver the football or burst. He rarely feels like anybody's going to be able to tackle him until he's ready to go down or to get out of bounds or to throw. That'll be a huge challenge, one that, we'll have to be ready for in multiple ways.
Okay, we did just hear the reporting field that Lamar Jackson's dealing with an illness, but he's missed a lot of these Wednesdays practice, as Adam said, and still been able to play. Can the Ravens get this offense going against that Patriots defense?
I think they can. They can do it on the ground, too, especially, Laura. This Patriots team got pushed around by the Buffalo Bills this past Sunday. James Hook had 3 total touchdowns, 2 of which came on the ground. This Patriots run defense went from an unbelievable strength to begin the season to an area of vulnerability of late. This Patriots team has been impacted by defensive front 7 injuries, most notably Milton Williams, their star defensive tackle. They've had some linebacker injuries, Robert Spillane amongst those. And Derrick Henry over the past 2 weeks has rushed for 194 yards. Say what you want about the passing game and some of the woes that Lamar Jackson has had since he came back from that prolonged injury absence. The running game has been effective. And by the way, it's not just Derrick Henry. They're getting some doses of speed burst from both Keaton Mitchell and also Rasheen Ali. This Patriots team better find its defensive groove once again, or else this, once what felt like unlosable grip on the AFC East could go by the wayside.
Yeah, it feels like a big chance for a bounce back for them, right?
Sure does.
We have not seen them lose in a long time. Exactly. Another intriguing matchup this weekend. The Jags and the Broncos, both of whom have surged up the standings in recent weeks. Jacksonville's won 5 straight, and a 6th win in a row would give them a legitimate shot at the AFC's top seed. The Broncos could improve their chances at the 1 seed by 90% if they get their 12th straight dub. Here's Trevor Lawrence on facing the Broncos defense today.
Yeah, they're really, really good. Obviously the numbers are historic in the way they're playing and flying around. And it's not just the group up front; it's the whole defense, every level. They're well coached. They're flying around. They're making plays. They're physical. They're really good in the back end. Obviously, they're great at rushing the passer. It just works really well together. The defense is playing really well. It's gonna be a challenge for us. So we'll have to have a great week of practice and a good plan going in for a really good defense.
Hawk, you and Dan showed us weeks ago how the Jags passing game was out of sync. What's changed there?
Jacoby Myers has changed. This is the veteran and professional presence that this receiving core, this offense, and Trevor Lawrence has needed. It's right-sized the offense. So we're going to have a little callback. You remember that play where Liam Cohen yelled at Trevor Lawrence on this play? Stick route. He leads it outside. The receiver's a little apprehensive. It turns into a big drop. Fourth quarter against the Bengals. Now, enter Jacoby Myers. You're going to see the same stick concept, except you're going to see him pirouette underneath the linebacker, which on this hardly ever happens. But it's his ability to understand spacing and understand what the quarterback is seeing and where he needs to be. Completely different result. Next, you're going to see him understand leverage here. Again, this is veteran moves. You're going to move this defensive back on an outside release to the other side of the through route, create a big hole for Trevor Lawrence. Last but not least, you've seen so many times where Jaguars receivers have dropped these over the middle in traffic passes. Now you have a veteran who understands going up, getting the rock, and coming down with the football. And it's allowed Trevor Lawrence to play with a lot more trust himself because it's not all on his shoulders.
Are you surprised it happened so quickly between the two of them?
I don't think so. Because, again, like when you go get Jacoby Myers, that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for, okay, well, you're going to be the number one guy. You're going to have 150 yards. This receiving core needed exactly that. It needed a veteran presence who understood the game of football in a way that they've been there many years, and it's been the ignition for this whole offense.
It's so impressive to me, though, because off the Hawks tape, which I loved, a lot of it is the receiver, as a quarterback, I'm watching you, and you're telling me what you're going to do off your body language.
Yes.
There's a little bit of guesswork in that, right? Like, hey, when I'm going pirouetting underneath, I'm telling you I'm going to turn inside. But as a quarterback, I'm like, I got to trust that you're actually going to do that. Or on that widen, I know you're widening to get back inside, but God, I got to believe you're going to get there.
I think so many people always feel like the quarterback is the one who teaches the receivers about the concept. And there are moments like take Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs very similarly. Like you can do what's on the play sheet, you can do what the lines say, or you can understand what you're trying to get out of it. And someone like Jacoby Myers, in the way he plays, actually is helping Trevor Lawrence because he's getting the most out of the play. Like, this is what we're trying to get. It's not just about what run this way, go that way.
Yeah.
Give me the time and give me the spacing. It'll be a clearer picture for you.
Rules guys, guidelines guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
How about the Broncos defense and how they'll handle this Jags offense? It's been on fire of late.
It's a great unit. I think that there's stuff on tape that you can go after. There are still too many blown coverages by this defense. If I was Jacksonville, I would motion to stack and bunch a ton. This is one clip. It happened 3 times in this game where they motioned to bunch. He's wide open. They have completely blown this coverage. They're lucky that the pass rush gets there. Look for Jacksonville to do that. The second thing is, you guys know me. I talk all the time. When you play this defense, your backs and tight ends have to be pass catchers. This is from this past Sunday, Josh Jacobs. Now, you tell me if this is going to look familiar, okay?
Yeah.
This is this past week for the Jaguars.
Yep.
A very similar concept, it's very similar defense, Travis Etienne. So I think if you're Jacksonville, there's a level of respect for this defense. But I don't think there's oh my gosh, we got nothing to get to. There is stuff that as much as you can sit there and go, great defense in Denver, there's stuff that Jacksonville can and should get to in this game to attack them.
By the way, as far as like one of the big linchpins for this Denver defense is being able to generate pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Over the past 6 games, no quarterback by QBR at least has been better than Trevor Lawrence against pressure. His QBR is 68, which against pressure, that's a big number. Like, it's not great when you're just playing with time and space, but Lawrence has been locked in. You mentioned Travis Etienne. Like, what a bounce-back year for him. This was kind of a forgotten man coming into the season. It was how many carries he's going to see a game to Bashal Tutin and Tanks Bigsby. I mean, last week he had 3 receiving touchdowns. To Dano's point about the impact you have to have against Denver in the passing game, this guy's been remarkable. He's on pace for just a gigantic season for a guy that I think a lot of people came into the year because it's a new coach. One of the offseason remarks is, that guy, he's expendable. He'll be one of those cast-offs under a new regime. He's proved invaluable for them. He has been a gigantic weapon. And keep in mind, Tutin just had finger surgery earlier this week, so he could be unavailable this upcoming Sunday for Jacksonville.
Could be heavier load then for Travis Etienne. Good point.
They're in line for, I mean, they're competing at least for the number 1 seed in the AFC.
You know what? They would tell you it's not crazy, though. They felt like this was possible, especially Liam Cohen. Time for Prospect Watch. Field big news from yesterday with running back Jeremiah Love declaring for the draft. What kind of prospect is he?
Yeah, so Laura, this is not a draft class which is loaded up with blue chip prospects at the very top of the class. That being said, Jeremiah Love might be the safest pick in this entire draft class, a running back who I think will invoke the kinds of grades and ratings that you heard for Bijan Robinson. And also, most recently, Ashton Genty, Jahmyr Gibbs, an absolutely outstanding pass catcher. But his explosiveness as a runner really catches my attention consistently. He makes defenders miss in the hole. It's 1 foot, 1 plant, and he is off to the races. That pit run that we saw part of right there, one of the hallmark plays of his season, on top of all the things that he does in terms of versatility, an off-the-charts kid as well. Somebody who I do think, by the time teams have filled out some of their needs through free agency, will end up in the top 10 picks of the 2026 NFL draft.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he's one that you can there's a lot of question marks, as you mentioned, but not many about Jeremiah Love.
One of the very few guys.
Absolutely not. He's Jesus Christ lizard running on water. Just no ball security, fake pitching at the end of a 40-yard run. Absolutely just diabolical behavior by QB1. But I love it. As long as he's running out of bounds, I don't care. Just don't take a hit. I just don't need that in my life.
Jesus Christ Lizard?
Yeah.
Is that a George Kittle creation?
Is that a rock band?
As far as I can tell, yeah.
I'm unfamiliar.
Why you look at me when you say that?
I don't know.
Is he referencing the style
What's
of
that?
run? This is awesome.
It can run on water.
Yeah, it is. I love it. I also love his pizza shirt. So can I
That
buy
was a
one?
great arrival outfit. Maybe George can send you one.
Is pizza the greatest food of all time?
Top tier.
All right.
You argue that.
First
Food take you agree on.
Food take I've ever
know, Dan.
agreed with you.
I'm back player of the year right here.
Guys, Dan likes pizza. He's semi-normal.
Right.
Okay, the Chiefs have been eliminated from the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes underwent surgery for a torn ACL yesterday. I like that we still have this music. It's an unusual spot for Kansas City. Travis Kelce talked about his mentality for the last 3 games today.
You're playing this game, obviously, to win Super Bowls. You're playing this game to be in those playoff scenarios and stuff. But at the end of the day, man, you're playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing. That's an honor. It's an honor to be out there. It's an honor to feel the soreness after a game because you're actually out there, you're doing it.
Yeah. You're living your dream.
And no matter if you're getting the ball thrown to you, no matter if you're blocking your tail off and you never, see the pill, it's an honor to be out there in a uniform, playing for the guys around you, playing for your family, playing for the people back home that are watching you, that have known you since you were a little kid, dreaming about this moment, or dreaming about these moments being in the NFL. And I'll tell you what, man, if there's a game to be had, baby, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to love playing in it, no matter if it's a game that in the playoffs or gets us in the playoffs, or a game that, seems like it doesn't have any implications of that.
Dan, what do you think when you hear that from Kelce?
I got a lot of love for Travis, man. I really do. I mean, just hearing him talk makes me miss football.
Emotional, yeah.
I think, you see why those of us that get to play this game just absolutely love playing this game. I think a lot of what Travis is saying, he probably felt that way when he first started playing it as a 10-year-old or 12-year-old. It's just the best game in the world. And so I think you feel a lot of the emotion of maybe his football life, his football journey coming to an end. And it's been an unbelievable one. I think he's probably facing a little bit mortality of this could be the last 3-game run. And so I'm sure there's a part of him that emotionally doesn't want it to end. I think there's a part of him that is trying to just reflect on everything while also not trying to get too ahead of his skis. But you can see how much football means to him, man.
I've heard this speech before. I did a selfie video walking to my last NFL practice because I knew it was over.
Yeah.
So this wasn't a speech to everybody else. He was talking to himself in that moment. He's trying to, qualify those feelings and what this means to him and the conversations he's been having with himself in the mirror, laying in bed. This is the longest relationship he knows. He's about to get married soon. All she knows him as is a football player. All he knows himself as is a football player. And once it's done, you can never go back. And no matter what you feel about it, and no matter what you however you leave the game, it is something you miss, and it is absolutely a part of your identity. So I think what you're seeing is him, again, trying to qualify those feelings, that reaction of he knows what's coming.
Man, it's powerful for sure. Phil, beyond Kelce, though, what does Kansas City need to prioritize this offseason?
Well, these next 3 games are going to force them because they're not going to make the playoffs, and they might finish with 7 or 8 wins, who knows? They're going to have to take some long, hard looks in the mirror this offseason and realize that they weren't that close to actually competing for what they prioritize, which is Super Bowls. They have to do some self-scouting. They got to ask themselves about some offensive philosophy stuff. But I think more than anything, and this is not reacting to the fact that their quarterback is going to be coming back from a torn ACL and LCL next season. They got to protect Patrick Mahomes at a higher level, and they got to invest even more into that offensive line, because they talked this past season about how we think we can be the most explosive offense in the entire NFL. We've got the fastest wide receiver in combine history, and Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown to pair with Rashee Rice. Doesn't matter if you have the fastest guys on the field if you can't protect Patrick Mahomes long enough to actually see those guys get down the field.